Boom, Hezbollah's walkie-talkies go kaboom. Well, folks, it seems Hezbollah has a new enemy, and it's not Israel, the United States, or even capitalism. It's their own damn radios. Yes, you heard that right. In a spectacular display of technological karma, thousands of Hezbollah's walkie-talkies and pagers have been exploding across Lebanon. It's like a really loud, really dangerous game of musical chairs, but instead of losing a seat, you lose a few fingers. Reports say these explosions, which followed a similar incident involving pagers, have caused chaos and casualties. Apparently, someone forgot to tell Hezbollah that the best way to keep secrets isn't to whisper them into a device rigged to explode. Experts are now scrambling to figure out what went wrong. Was it a manufacturing defect, sabotage, or just plain bad luck? Hezbollah fighters are left scratching their heads, wondering how their trusted communication devices turned into ticking time bombs. Walkie-talkies have been a staple in military communication for decades, but never have they been this hazardous. Engineers are now testing every single device, trying to ensure that this explosive issue doesn't happen again. Meanwhile, in control rooms across Lebanon, the focus is on monitoring and preventing further incidents. With their radios out of commission, Hezbollah fighters are resorting to more old-fashioned methods of communication. Landline phones, handwritten notes, and even hand signals are making a comeback in the absence of reliable electronic devices. Strategic planning has become more complicated as leaders try to navigate this unexpected technological setback. News outlets are having a field day with headlines blaring about the mysterious explosions and the chaos they've caused. Citizens are left in shock, reading about the bizarre turn of events in their morning papers. Emergency responders are on high alert, ready to deal with any new incidents that might arise. Repair teams are working around the clock to fix the damaged equipment and restore some semblance of normalcy. Despite the chaos, life goes on in Lebanon, with people trying to adapt to the new reality. As the sun sets over the city, one thing is clear. Hezbollah's walkie-talkies may have gone kaboom, but the spirit of the people remains unbroken. Pagers, the unexpected weapon of mass destruction. Remember pagers, those relics from the 90s? Turns out they're not just good for reminding you about your dentist appointment. They're also a surprisingly effective tool for wreaking havoc on terrorist organizations. Who knew? It all started with a batch of gold Apollo pagers, allegedly manufactured in Budapest. More on that later. These seemingly innocuous devices were apparently packed with a little something extra explosives. And when those explosives were remotely detonated, well, let's just say Hezbollah's internal communication system went from bad connection to no connection real quick. Israel tech wizards or masters of mayhem? So the big question is, who's behind this explosive turn of events? The world is watching closely and the stakes are higher than ever. Well, all fingers, or what's left of them, are pointing to Israel. The evidence seems to be mounting, and the whispers in the corridors of power are getting louder. They haven't officially claimed responsibility, of course. Silence can be as telling as a confession, and in this case, the silence is deafening. But let's be real, folks, this is made in Israel stamped all over it. From the precision of the attacks to the sophistication of the technology used, the signature is unmistakable. It takes a special kind of ingenuity to turn a pager into a mini-bomb, a feat that requires not just technical know-how, but also a certain audacity. And Israel, with its reputation for cutting-edge technology, is definitely qualified for the job. Their labs are filled with some of the brightest minds, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible. They're like the tech-savvy friend who can hack your Wi-Fi password in seconds while simultaneously teaching your dog to fetch the newspaper. It's a blend of genius and practicality that makes them both admired and feared, impressive but also slightly terrifying. The duality of their capabilities leaves the world in awe yet on edge. Are they the protectors we need or the threat we fear? The line between hero and villain is often blurred, and in the realm of technology and warfare, it becomes even more indistinct. Take, for instance, their advancements in drone technology. These aren't just flying cameras, they're sophisticated machines capable of both surveillance and offensive operations. In the hands of Israeli engineers, drones become tools of precision, able to deliver aid or destruction with equal efficiency. And let's not forget their prowess in cybersecurity. Israel is home to some of the world's leading experts in this field, capable of defending against and launching cyber attacks that can cripple entire infrastructures. The strategic implications are enormous. With such capabilities, Israel can influence global events from behind the scenes, shaping outcomes without ever stepping onto the battlefield. So, as we ponder the question, tech wizards or masters of mayhem, we must consider the broader picture. The tools they create can be used for both good and ill, and the true measure lies in how they choose to wield their power. In the end, it's not just about the technology itself, but the intent behind it. The future remains uncertain, and only time will tell which path they will ultimately take. Hungarian hide-and-seek, the case of the missing pages. Now, about those Hungarian pages, apparently the Hungarian government is denying any involvement in their manufacture, those exploding pages. Never heard of them. They're basically saying we wouldn't know a bomb-laden communication device if it blew up in our face, which, ironically, it kind of did. This raises more questions than answers. Was Hungary duped into producing these devices? Was it an inside job, or are they just trying to save face? It's like a real-life episode of Homeland, but with more explosions and fewer Claire Danes crying jags. Section 5, Hezbollah's response, anger, threats, and more anger. As you can imagine, Hezbollah is not best pleased about this whole exploding pager situation. They're furious, they're vowing revenge, and they are probably running out of phones to scream into. Their leader, Hassan Nasrallah, is expected to address the nation soon, and you can bet it'll be a speech full of fire and brimstone. Of course, given the circumstances, he might want to avoid using any metaphors involving explosions, combustion, or things that go boom in the night. Section 6. The irony is palpable. Terrorists foiled by their own toys. In a twist of fate that could be straight out of a dark comedy, terrorists found themselves ensnared by their own devices. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer irony of it all. Imagine the scene, a group of militants, confident in their plans, suddenly realizing that their own tools have turned against them. It's almost poetic. Hezbollah, an organization known for its use of violence and terror, has been brought low by the very tools they rely on for communication. These radios, once symbols of their operational prowess, became their Achilles heel. It's like a bank robber getting tripped up by his own loot bag. Picture it, a heist meticulously planned only to be foiled by a simple misstep. The irony is almost too rich, or a supervillain falling victim to his own death trap. Think of the countless movies where the villain's elaborate schemes backfire spectacularly. It's a classic trope, and yet it never gets old. The message is clear. Even terrorists can't escape the laws of karma. What goes around comes around. Their actions, driven by malice, have come full circle to bite them back. Or, in this case, the laws of unintended consequences. They thought they had everything under control, but the universe had other plans. It's a stark reminder that no one is immune to the whims of fate. It's a reminder that sometimes the most effective weapon is not a gun or a bomb, but a healthy dose of irony. In a world where violence often begets more violence, it's almost refreshing to see poetic justice play out in such an unexpected way. History is replete with examples of irony, from leaders who fell victim to their own policies to inventors who were undone by their own creations. Irony has a way of humbling even the most powerful. In modern times, we see it in everyday life. The CEO of a tech company who can't figure out his own product, the health guru who falls ill, the environmentalist caught littering. These moments remind us that irony is an ever-present force. So, as we reflect on this incident, let's remember the power of irony. It serves as a check on hubris, a reminder that no matter how invincible we may feel, there's always a twist waiting around the corner. In the grand scheme of things, irony helps maintain balance. It ensures that actions have consequences, that the scales of justice are never tipped too far in one direction. And perhaps in these moments of ironic failure, there's an opportunity for growth, a chance to learn, to understand the limits of our control, and to appreciate the unpredictable nature of life. So the next time you find yourself caught in an ironic twist, take a moment to smile. After all, it's life's way of keeping us humble and reminding us that we're all part of a much larger story. Section 7. Collateral damage or calculated risk, the civilian cost of war. While we're chuckling at Hezbollah's misfortune, it's important to remember that these explosions have real-world consequences. Innocent people have been injured, and that's never a laughing matter. The question is, Were these civilian casualties unavoidable collateral damage, or were they a calculated risk on the part of those responsible? It's a question with no easy answers, but it's a question we must ask nonetheless. Section 8, Gold Apollo from communication devices to explosive surprises. Meanwhile, Gold Apollo, the company behind the exploding pages, is probably wishing they'd stuck to making headphones. Their brand name, once synonymous with reliable communication, is now forever linked to unexpected detonations. Talk about a PR nightmare. They're probably fielding calls from angry customers, lawyers, and maybe even a few confused bomb squad technicians. Section 9. Budapest on the line. We didn't make those exploding pages. Back in Budapest, the Hungarian government is still trying to distance itself from the whole exploding pager fiasco. They're like the friend who swears they weren't at the party where things got out of hand, even though there's photographic evidence to the contrary. It's a classic case of he said, she said, but with potentially explosive consequences. Who's telling the truth? Who's covering up what? And most importantly, are there any more exploding pages out there? Section 10. From Beirut to Tel Aviv, the Middle East Tinderbox ignited. This whole situation has added yet another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation in the Middle East. It's like someone tossed a lit match into a fireworks factory and then decided to film the whole thing for a YouTube compilation. The region is on edge, bracing itself for Hezbollah's promised retaliation. Will they strike back with conventional weapons, more exploding devices, or will they surprise everyone and opt for a strongly worded letter of complaint? Section 11. The future of warfare. Is this the end of walkie-talkies? One thing's for sure, this incident has changed the game when it comes to modern warfare. Forget drones, cyber attacks, and hypersonic missiles. The real weapon of the future is the exploding pager. Okay, maybe not. But it does make you wonder, what other seemingly innocuous devices are hiding a deadly secret? Your toaster, your Fitbit, your child's talking teddy bear? The possibilities are as terrifying as they are hilarious. Section 12. Hezbollah's dilemma: to retaliate or to find a reliable pager guy. Meanwhile, Hezbollah is facing a dilemma. Do they retaliate against Israel as they've promised, or do they focus on finding a new supplier of communication devices, preferably one that doesn't double as a bomb manufacturer? It's a tough call, but one thing's for certain, they're going to need a new communication strategy. Maybe carrier pigeons, smoke signals, or, they could always just use Zoom like the rest of us. Section 13, The World Watches, a mixture of concern, amusement, and popcorn. As for the rest of the world, we're watching this whole thing unfold with a mixture of concern, amusement, and a healthy dose of we can't look away, even though we know we probably should. It's a reminder that truth is often stranger than fiction, and that sometimes the best way to deal with the absurdity of it all is to laugh. Because if we don't laugh, we'll cry, or, get blown up by a rogue pager.